Once again, grade 10 learners. Okay, today we are looking at cost accounting, manufacturing accounts. Okay, I've picked up this question as your preparation for your paper 2. Okay, let's look at question number 4. Question 4.1, manufacturing concepts. Okay, choose the correct words from column B to match the description in column A. Write only the letter A to D. Okay, so we're going to look at all these statements that are given, and then we are going to match them with those items that are written in column B. Okay, 4.1.1, costs that have to be paid no matter how many goods are produced. So these ones, no matter how many goods are produced, they do not change. It means they are fixed costs. So number 4.1.1, our answer is C. They are fixed costs. We call those fixed costs. They do not change. No matter how many items you make, no matter how long you are going to take operating there, it is going to remain the same. We call that a fixed cost. And then 4.1.2, all the costs that are not directly involved in the production of goods. Okay, they are involved in the production of goods, but they are not directly involved. These ones we call the manufacturing overheads. Manufacturing overheads. These are other expenses that are incurred in the factory, but they are not directly involved in the production of goods. And then the cost of direct material and the cost of direct labor. Direct material cost plus direct labor, it gives us what we call the prime cost. So the answer there is B. It gives us what we call the prime cost. And then the last statement, the cost of labor involved in the manufacturing of goods. Those are labor costs, or we call it direct labor. So the answer is A. Okay, we are done with the column A. Column B, let's move on to question number 4.2, manufacturing calculations. I want you to pay close attention here. Okay, Bodania's custom-made finishers. Aman Bodania owns a small manufacturing enterprise called Bohemia Customs Made Finishers. In January 2021, the headmistress of Hillview Primary School, Miss Jefter, requested Aman to make 40 special tables for the new art center at the school. How many tables? 40 special tables. Okay, fine. Required, use the information provided below to complete the following calculations. The first calculation that they want us to make is to calculate the direct material cost. Remember, what is it that we call direct material cost? They are those materials that are directly linked to the manufacturing of the product, the most important raw materials that are needed for the product to be in existence. That's what we call the direct material cost. So when we look at the information that is given in A, the key material that is needed to make a table is actually the wood and the steel for the structure. These are the main materials that are needed, the wood and the steel structure. Those are the main materials that are needed to make the tables. So that's our direct material cost. So the calculation for our direct material cost, it goes 16,000 for the wood. We have got 16,000 for the wood plus the 5,500, which is the 5,500. It is for the steel for the structure, which will give us something like 21,500. Okay, so you get 3 marks for this calculation. 16,000 for the wood, steel structure, 5,500. Okay, I know somebody saying, what about the nuts, the bolts and the screws, the glue and the wood and the paint and all these are also part of the materials, but they are very much insignificant. We cannot actually say because we do not have these, then the table cannot actually be found to be in existence, or we cannot make the key things that are needed to make a table. It is the wood and the steel for the structure. These ones are also needed, but they are very much insignificant. So we consider them to be indirect materials. We record them under the factory overhead cost. They are indirect materials. They will be recorded under the factory overhead costs. Okay, so we are done with 4.2.1. 4.2.2, they want us to calculate the direct labor cost. The direct labor, we are looking at the money that was given to those people who were responsible for making those tables. Okay, so if we move on to information number D, there says 250 rand paid to the casual employee for each chair that was produced. How many chairs were produced? There are 40. And how much was he getting? 250 was being given for each chair. So we're going to say 250 rand for each chair times the number of chairs that were manufactured, which is going to give us something like, let's go to our calculators, it's going to give us something like 10,000 rand. 10,000 rand was actually paid for all the 40 chairs. Okay, we are done with the direct labor cost. And then calculate the prime cost. How do we calculate the prime cost? Prime cost is equal to direct material plus direct labor. Okay, we already have got our direct material cost 21,500. We have got our direct labor, which is 10,000. So we are simply going to say 21,500 plus the direct labor, which is 10,000, which is going to give us 31,500. 31,500 is our prime cost. So prime cost is equal to direct material cost plus direct labor cost. Do not forget that. Okay, now we are going on to the other calculation, 4.2.4. Calculate the total cost of production. So for the total cost of production, 4.2.4. Okay, 4.2.4. 4.2.4. Total cost of production. The total cost of production. Okay, how do we calculate the total cost of production? We are going to say the prime cost plus the factory overhead cost is equal to total cost of production. Total cost of production is equal to prime cost plus factory overhead cost. If you go back to 4.2.3, we have got our prime cost, which is our direct material plus direct labor, which is 31,500. So I'll write the 31,500 here plus the factory overhead costs. Okay, the factory overhead costs, we are looking at all those other costs that were incurred in the factory. Okay, we have got, remember I said we have got indirect materials, the nuts, the bolts, and the screws, the glue, the wood oil, and the paint. Okay, I will add those. Let's go to information B first. Arman works from a small factory in Actionville and pays rent of 11,000 per month. Of course, we have got rent. Okay, I open a bracket here. Rent 11,000 plus what else do we have? C, his water and electricity bill for January 2021 was 1,800. We are also going to add the 1,800 for the water. And then after that, now we are going to add the indirect material costs. For the nuts and the bolts and the screws is 1,100, 1,100 plus the 300 plus 500 plus the 600 for the paint. Okay, so these are all the factory overheads that we have. We add them to the prime cost. Okay, we add them to the prime cost. So after adding everything, we are going to get a total of 46,800. After the calculation, it gives us a total of 46,800. 46,800 is our total cost of production. The prime cost plus the factory overhead cost. Remember, we have got the rent, the water and electricity, and these are indirect material costs. Okay, and then it gives us a total of 46,800. So that's 4.2.4. And then 4.2.5, what is it that they want us to calculate? The cost of one table. Cost of one table. The cost of one table. We are simply going to take the total cost of production. We say the total cost of production divided by the number of units. Okay, so we substitute the total cost of production is 46,800 divided by the number of units. How many chairs were made? There were 40 divided by 40 chairs. So this is rents divided by 40 chairs. Okay, I mean 40 tables. 40 tables divided by 40 tables. So we need to find out how much was the price for one table. So after our calculation, we are going to remain with something like 1,140 rand. So each table was valued at 1,140 rand. I'm sure I've answered all the questions properly, and I'm sure you've also managed to understand how we do the calculations, how to calculate the prime cost, how to calculate the total cost of production, which ones are part of our factory overheads. The only confusing thing can be here on these on these raw materials that I said they are indirect raw materials. They are very much insignificant when we are looking at the table. The most significant things when you look at a table is the steel structure and the wood. These ones are also part of the raw materials, but we consider them to be indirect raw materials. Okay, I hope I have answered these questions properly, and I hope it has been helpful to you. Thank you so much.